हेलो एवरीवन। सो आज की इस वीडियो में हम करेंगे द मर्चेंट ऑफ वेनिस के वर्कबुक क्वेश्चन आंसर्स। तो आपके सामने क्वेश्चंस गिवन है, मैं आपको इनके आंसर्स बताऊंगी एंड उनको आप अपनी वर्कबुक में लिख सकते हैं। ओके, सो अभी आज हम करेंगे एक्ट 1 सीन 1 के क्वेश्चंस। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। सो आवर फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज वेयर आर एंटोनियो एंड हिज फ्रेंड्स, What does Antonio say about his sadness? तो हमारा क्वेश्चन क्या है कि एंटोनियो एंड उसके फ्रेंड्स जो हैं वो कहाँ पर थे, एंड एंटोनियो की सैडनेस, और व्हाट डज एंटोनियो से अबाउट हिज सैडनेस, एंड एंटोनियो ने अपनी सैडनेस के बारे में क्या बताया। ओके, तो आप इसका आंसर लिख सकते हैं। एंटोनियो एंड हिज फ्रेंड्स आर इन अ स्ट्रीट इन वेनिस, कि जो एंटोनियो एंड उसके फ्रेंड्स हैं वो वेनिस की एक स्ट्रीट में हैं। Antonio says that his sadness makes him depressed and dull. He further says that he is yet to learn about the origin and nature of his sadness. तो हमारा आंसर क्या है कि जो एंटोनियो एंड उसके फ्रेंड्स हैं वो वेनिस की एक स्ट्रीट में है, एंड एंटोनियो ने अपनी सैडनेस के बारे में क्या बताया कि उसकी जो सैडनेस है वो उसके कारण क्या है, उसने उसको क्या कर दिया, डिप्रेस्ड एंड डल बना दिया। He further says that he is yet to learn about the origin and nature of his sadness, कि जो एंटोनियो है उसने आगे क्या बताया कि इसको खुद को ही नहीं पता कि इसका जो सैडनेस है वो कहाँ से आई और या उसका नेचर क्या है, कि ये सैड क्यों है, इसको खुद को ही नहीं पता। ठीक है, तो मैं आपको ये सारा आंसर कंप्लीट फिर से बता देती हूँ। एंटोनियो एंड हिज फ्रेंड्स आर इन अ स्ट्रीट इन वेनिस. Antonio says that his sadness makes him depressed and dull. He further says that he is yet to learn about the origin and nature of his sadness. So next question हमारा क्या, give the meaning of where of it is born. तो इसका मीनिंग क्या है, how it originated. Here they are talking about the origin of and sadness of Antonio. सेकेंड, अ वांट विद सैडनेस, तो इसका मीनिंग क्या है, इसका आंसर क्या होगा, अ डल सैडनेस। थर्ड, दैट आई हैव मच अडो टू नो माई सेल्फ, तो इसका मीनिंग क्या है, दैट आई हैव मच डिफिकल्टी इन रिकॉग्नाइजिंग माई सेल्फ। तो आपको मैंने इन दोनों के आंसर्स बता दिए। अब हमारा थर्ड क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट रीजन डज Celerino give as the probable cause of Antonio's melancholy. तो क्वेश्चन का मीनिंग क्या है कि सेलेरिनो ने क्या रीज़न दिया कि एंटोनियो के मेलंकली मूड के बारे में, कि वो सैड क्यों है। तो इसका आंसर हम लिख सकते हैं, सेलेरिनो टेल्स एंटोनियो दैट ही इज सैड बिकॉज हिज माइंड इज preoccupied with his ships filled with cargo which are out at sea for sailing. तो आंसर क्या है हमारा कि सेलेरिनो ने एंटोनियो की सैडनेस के बारे में बताया कि इसका जो माइंड है वो इसकी शिप्स के ऊपर है, कि इसकी शिप्स क्या है, सेल के लिए सी पर, समुंदर पर गई हुई है बाहर, तो इसका माइंड क्या उसके ऊपर है। ठीक है, नेक्स्ट हमारा क्वेश्चन है फोर्थ, स्टेट इन योर ओन वर्ड्स द सीन on the ocean as described by Celerino when Antonio's ship were sailing. तो हमारे क्वेश्चन का मीनिंग क्या है कि आप अपने वर्ड्स में बताओ ओशन का सीन जो सेलेरिनो ने बताया था, डिस्क्राइब किया था, जब एंटोनियो की शिप्स वहाँ पर सेल करने गई हुई थी। ओके, तो हम आंसर लिख सकते हैं, सेलेरिनो कंपेयर्स एंटोनियो's ship sailing on the waves with the great lords and wealthy citizens who look down on lesser men as they walk along the street. He says that compared to smaller ships, Antonio's ships move swiftly on the sea with their canvas sails and look like grand spectacles of the sea. तो ये हमारा फोर्थ क्वेश्चन है। फिफ्थ क्वेश्चन, why do you think that Antonio is presented as a melancholic character? What could be cause for his melancholy? तो हम इसका आंसर लिख सकते हैं, एंटोनियो इज प्रेजेंटेड एज अ melancholic and passive character mainly for the three reasons. Firstly, by portraying Antonio as a whimsical person who is least bothering about the consequences of his actions, justifies his signing the bond agreement. Secondly, Antonio's melancholy creates a tragic atmosphere suitable for the play. Thirdly, Antonio's melancholy creates a sense of misery for the audience. तो ये हमारा 5th क्वेश्चन है. तो हम अभी हमारा जो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है सेकंड एक्सट्रैक्ट का वो है, वेयर वुड Salarino's attention be if he had business ventures abroad? Why would he be plugging the grass? What else would he be doing in that context? तो इसका हम आंसर लिख सकते हैं, इफ Salarino had business ventures abroad, his thoughts would be fixed on the dangers to his ventures and methods of securing them. He would be plucking the blades of grass and casting them in the air to see which way the wind blows, to see if it was blowing in a direction favorable to the course of his ships or not. Further, he would look into maps for harbours channels and open roadsteads near to the shore where his ships could anchor in case of need. तो ये हमारा क्या है, ये हमारा फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है सेकंड एक्सट्रैक्ट का. तो सेकंड क्वेश्चन हमारा है, what would make Salarino fear from danger to his ventures? Give 2 examples from the opening scene to show how some objects remind Salarino of the danger to the ships. तो इसका हम आंसर लिख सकते हैं, every thought of Salarino would make him fearful of danger to his ships or to his business ventures. 2 examples which reminded Salarino of the danger to his ships were, first, the sandy hourglass reminded him of the richly laden vessels rigged on the sandy shore. Second, while cooling his soup by blowing on it reminded him of the stormy winds at sea causing terrible damage to his ships. Third question, give the meaning of plugging the grass to know where sits the wind. तो इसका आंसर होगा, plugging of grass and casting them in the air to see which way the wind blew. Fourth question, in spite of the danger to his ships, why is Antonio not worried about his financial security? इसका आंसर है, despite danger to his ships, Antonio is not worried about his financial security because his business is neither dependent on any one ship nor on any single location or commercial transaction of the current year. Fifth question, what light does the opening scene throw on the danger that the sea could pose to ships? How does the scene show that Antonio is very confident about his business ventures? तो इसका आंसर हम लिख सकते हैं, the possible dangers that sea could pose to ships such as strong winds, danger, shallow water, sand banks and dangerous rocks. तो आई होप आपको मेरे बोलने का वे अच्छा लगा होगा, मीन्स जैसे मैं बोल रही हूँ आपको सारा क्लियरली समझ आ रहा है कि मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ, ताकि आपको आसानी हो जाए लिखने में. तो अगर आपको मेरी वीडियो में कोई भी गलती लगती तो आप मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में बता सकते हो, बट मैंने अपनी तरफ से पूरी कोशिश की कि मैं आप क्लियरली बोल सकूं. ठीक है, तो हम आगे कंटिन्यू करते हैं थर्ड एक्सट्रैक्ट. तो थर्ड एक्सट्रैक्ट का हमारा फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है, वेयर डज दिस सीन टेक्स प्लेस, नेम द पीपल हु आर प्रेजेंट देयर, इन व्हाट मूड is Salarino in the scene? तो इसका आंसर है This scene takes place in a street of Venice. Antonio, Salarino, and Besanio are present in the scene. Salarino is in a talkative mood and wants to know the reason for Antonio's melancholy. He says that he too would be feeling melancholic if his ships were sailing on the sea. तो सेकंड क्वेश्चन हमारा है What would the wind cooling the broth reminds Salarino of? तो इसका आंसर हम लिख सकते हैं It would remind Salarino of the stormy winds at sea and of the terrible damages they might cause to the ships. तो थर्ड क्वेश्चन Give the meaning of and see my wealthy Andrew docked in sand. तो इसका आंसर आप लिख सकते हो Wealthy Andrew refers to a Spanish ship called Andrea, captured by the British sailors in 1596. It ran aground when it was being brought to England. Since then, Andrew refers to a big cargo ship. In the above lines, Salarino imagines that his rich cargo ship is grounded in sand and her mast dipped down lower than her sides, as if trying to kiss the sand that surrounds her. तो ये हमारा थर्ड क्वेश्चन था. Fourth question. What is a sandy hourglass? What would it remind Salarino of? तो इसका आंसर है Sandy hourglass is an apparatus used to indicate time. It would remind Salarino of the dangers from hidden banks of sand at sea on which a ship may run aground. Fifth question. When Salarino would go to church, what would he see? What would the scene makes him imagine? तो इसका आंसर आप लिख सकते हो He would see the holy buildings made of stone. The scene would make him think of the rocks of the sea and imagine that a collision on his ships with these rocks would be sufficient to break his vessels into pieces and scatter on the sea all her spices and silks. Okay, तो नेक्स्ट हमारा फोर्थ एक्सट्रैक्ट का फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है Who has just said that Antonio was in love? What was the reaction of Antonio to the remark? तो इसका आंसर है फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या है Salarino, and then Antonio calls the remark as nonsense and completes tense that he is in love. Okay, तो second question हमारा है Antonio says that he is not sad because of love. What explanation does Salarino give in the extract for Antonio's sadness? तो इसका आंसर है Salarino concludes that Antonio is sad because he is not happy. He remarks that there are some curious creatures in the world. He swears by Janus, the two-headed Roman god, that some people have merry natures and are continuously laughing, whether the things they see are subject for mirth or not. Again, there are other with the sorest countenance who will not laugh at anything through the gravest old warrior nest or himself confirms the ire as most confusing. ओके, तो ये हमारा क्या था सेकंड क्वेश्चन था. इसको मैं फिर से रिपीट कर देती हूँ. आई थिंक ये क्वेश्चन बड़ा था इसलिए शायद आपको समझ ना आया होगा. मैं आपको फिर से ये रिपीट कर देती हूँ. Salarino concludes that Antonio is sad because he is not happy. He remarks that there are some curious creatures in the world. He swears by Janus, the two-headed Roman god, that some people have merry natures and are continuously laughing, whether the things they see are subject for mirth or not. Again, there are other with the sorest continuance who will not laugh at anything thought the gravest old warrior Nest or himself confirms the joke as most amusing. नेक्स्ट हमारा थर्ड क्वेश्चन है व्हाट इज मेंट बाय द टू हेडेड Janus? Who is Nestor? Why is he referred to in the extract? तो इसका आंसर हमारा होगा Janus is a Roman god usually depicted with two heads looking in opposite directions, one frowning and the other smiling. He had received from god Saturn the gift to see both the past and the future. He is referred to in the extract to show that there are two types of people, one happy and the other sad. Fourth question. Describe in your own words the two types of strange fellows who have been framed by nature. तो इसका आंसर होगा Nature has two type of people. The first type of people have happy nature and often laugh even if the subject of laughter is too trivial. The second type of people are those with serious and grave faces who do not laugh even at the most amusing jokes. Fifth question. Who comes at the end of Salarino's speech? Why does Salarino leave them? इसका आंसर होगा At the end of Salarino's speech, Besanio, Gratiano, and Lorenzo come. Salarino leave Antonio then because Antonio's friend Bassanio, Gratiano, and Lorenzo have come to give him company. Fifth extract का first question है Why is a young man compared to his grandsire cut in alabaster? Under what condition is he likely to be infected with jaundice? तो इसका आंसर होगा Gratiano gives the example of a warm-blooded young man who represses his spirits and forces himself to stillness till he looks like the marble image of his grandfather. He does so to advise Antonio not to remain in melancholy. He is likely to be affected with jaundice due to his bad temper. Second question. Give the meaning of do cream and mental like a stagnant pond. A standing pond. तो इसका आंसर होगा Some men overcast their faces with a pale expression as unchanging as the cream that forms on the surface of milk and as the scum that forms on the surface of a stagnant pool. Second, do a willful stillness entertain? इसका आंसर है maintain an obstinate silence not to disturb the solemnity of their faces. Solemnity की स्पेलिंग है SOLEMNITY. Okay. Third question. What is said in the extract about the people who try to earn a reputation for wisdom? तो इसका आंसर है In the extract, Gratiano speaks about the people who try to earn a reputation for wisdom, seriousness, and deep thought by remaining silent. Such people mean to say that they speak with the authority of the Greek oracle and they alone are infallible in thin utterance which they speak, others should keep quiet. Fourth question. Give the significance of I am Sir Oracle and let no dog bark. तो इसका आंसर है I am Sir Oracle means I speak with the authority of the Greek oracle. The Greek oracle made known the will of gods and were received by all without questions. Let no dog bark means let no one speak. It refers to the attitude of those wise men who considered themselves as the foundation of wisdom and want that when they speak, others should remain silent. Fifth question. What advice does Cristiano give to Antonio at the end of his speech? What does Besanio say about Cristiano's speech a little later in the scene? तो इसका आंसर है At the end of his speech, Cristiano advises Antonio not to be one of those who try to gain a reputation for wisdom by being silent. He further tells Antonio not to be melancholy as a bait to win the reputation of wisdom and cheap popularity, which is like a worthless cheap fish a gut gone. तो सिक्स्थ एक्सट्रैक्ट का फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन हमारा है Where are Bassanio and Antonio? What has Antonio said earlier in the reply to which Bassanio speaks these words? तो इसका आंसर है Bassanio and Antonio are in the street of Venice. Antonio asks Bassanio to tell him about his plan. He adds that if Bassanio's plan is as honorable as then he promises him everything that he has, money, influence, percent help and at most resources. ओके एंड इस ये हमारा आंसर है यहाँ पर. तो सेकंड क्वेश्चन क्या है एक्सप्लेन द फॉलोइंग or bring your letter hazard back again and thankfully rest debtor for the first. इसका आंसर है the above lines means that at any rate Besanio could pay the second loan and remain his grateful debtor for the first. तो नेक्स्ट हमारा थर्ड क्वेश्चन है Which experience of his school days does Besanio relate to justify his plan for repaying the loan? तो इसका आंसर है Besanio says that when he was a boy at school and he lost one of his arrow while shooting, he would shoot another arrow in same direction. Thus, by risking the second, he often regains the both arrow. Fourth question. How does Besanio propose to pay back his previous loan as well as the present loan? इसका आंसर है Besanio proposed to pay back his previous loan as well as the present loan by carefully managing the expenditure of his second amount. Fifth question. What confession has Besanio made to Antonio earlier about his financial position? How can you conclude that Besanio is a spendthrift? तो इसका आंसर है Earlier Besanio's confession to Antonio was that he has spent his wealth by having a more lordly way of living than his moderate income allow him. Therefore, he has incurred heavy debt because of his youth and extravagance. Extravagance की spelling है EXTRAVAGENCE. This proves that Besanio is a spendthrift. Seventh extract का first question है हमारा What is meant by फेयर स्पीचलेस मैसेजेस एंड नथिंग अंडरवैल्यूड। तो इसका आंसर है फेयर स्पीचलेस मैसेजेस मीन्स glances which are silent me of love. Bassanio wants to say that sometimes he received from Portia's eyes lovely silent messages. Nothing undervalued means not less precious. Bassanio says that his Portia is no less than Cato's daughter. Second question. Who are Cato and Brutus? Why are they referred to here? इसका आंसर है Cato, the father of Brutus' wife, Portia was the grandson of famous Cato. They are referred to here as Shakespeare's conception of the character Portia. Third, what evidence is there in the passage to show that Portia's fame had spread throughout the world? इसका आंसर है the passage to show that Portia's fame had spread throughout the world as suitors from every part of the world come to Belmont to win her hand in marriage. Fourth question. Explain in your own words the meaning and significance of the golden fleece with which Jason suit in Cholchos. तो इसका आंसर क्या है? Jason was a Greek hero who was sent by Peleus, his uncle, who had usurped the throne, to fetch the golden fleece from Cholchos. In Greek mythology, golden fleece is referred to as fleece of winged Rani Chrysomelas. Rani Chrysomelas, Chrysomallos, and the fleece is protected by a dragon. It was kept in an oak tree. तो हमारा फोर्थ क्वेश्चन का आंसर यही खत्म होता है एंड नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन फिफ्थ है व्हाट डज बसानियो से प्रेजिंग पोर्शिया? हाउ इज एंटोनियो इन्वॉल्व्ड इन द रोमांस ऑफ बसानियो? तो इसका आंसर है Bassanio's description of Portia in the opening scene reveals that she is paragon among women. She is rich and beautiful, golden hair. She has wonderful mental ability and virtuous as well. Her fame has attracted suitors from all over the world. She is no less than Cato's daughter and Brutus' wife. Antonio is the best friend of Bassanio. He shared all his secrets with each other and Antonio only know about his love affair. Eighth extract का first question है Why is Antonio unable to help Bassanio at once? इसका आंसर है Since he has no money in hand, as all his ventures are at sea and he has invested his whole money on his business ventures. Second question. To raise a present sum, how much was this sum? Why was it required urgently? इसका आंसर है The sum was 3,000 ducats. It required urgently for Bassanio to go to Belmont and present himself before Portia as a worthy suitor. Third question. What does Antonio instruct Bassanio to do to get a loan? तो इसका आंसर है Antonio instruct Bassanio to find out a merchant who is ready to give him money against his name. Fourth question है हमारा Give the meaning of that shall be racked even to the uttermost. तो इसका आंसर है The credit shall be stretched to the uttermost limit. Antonio is ready to stretch credit as far as to quit Bassanio to go to Belmont to woo Portia. Fifth question. Give any two character trait of Antonio in the scene, how are they different from the character traits of Bassanio? तो इसका आंसर है Antonio is introduced in the scene as a rich merchant having many shipping ventures in sea. He is in a state of melancholy and not interested in love, loyalty and generosity. इसकी स्पेलिंग है GENEROSITY. Generosity towards Besanio are major traits of his character. Compared to Antonio, Besanio is shown as spendthrift young man and who lives a life of luxurious beyond his means. He some to take under Antonio is generosity. Unlike Antonio, he is a romantic man who wants to marry Portia, a rich and beautiful heiress of Belmont. तो ये हमारे आंसर्स थे वर्कबुक के एक्ट 1 सीन 1 के एंड जल्दी मैं आपको आंसर ला के दूंगी एक्ट 1 सीन 2 के भी। एंड अगर आपको मेरी वीडियो अच्छी लगती है तो लाइक करना, सब्सक्राइब करना एंड शेयर करना मत भूलना। एंड प्लीज़ कमेंट सेक्शन में बताना कि आपको मेरी वीडियो कैसी लगती है एंड अगर मेरी वीडियो में कोई भी कमी है तो आप मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में बता सकते हैं, तो मैं उसको कंप्लीट करूँगी। अगर आपको कुछ भी चाहिए तो आप प्लीज़ मुझे बताइए, मैं आपके लिए वो सब लेके आऊँगी। थैंक्स एंड हैव अ नाइस डे।